guys, welcome back to Nat's Corner. So in this video, I'll be reading some scary stories from Reddit. And I'm also dressed as a pumpkin schoolgirl. So I have my hair up in pigtails, my glasses, and I also have this shirt. It is orange and black, has a little spider there on the back. It has a pumpkin, it says stay spooky on the back. I don't know if you guys can see that. But yeah, so I'm dressed as a pumpkin schoolgirl. So without further ado, let's get on with the Reddits. The first story is called I Worked at a Halloween Store That Sells Cursed Costumes. It was around September when I was just looking for a temporary job. I applied everywhere I could think of, from grocery stores to arcades. I will admit, though, that I may have purposely focused on applying to places I felt would be either a breeze to work in or fun. It was getting dark, so on my last job finding trip, I decided to go home and figure out next weekend. I cut through an abandoned mall to save me some time when I came across a Halloween store in the center. During the scary season, it's common for various Halloween stores to open in abandoned areas, but in the middle of an empty, dead mall was just unusual. The store also didn't look anything like the other ones, probably another company trying to get into the competition. I looked up the deteriorating orange neon sign that read the Halloween Hunt. 'Tis the season to dress your worst. I walked in and was greeted by an employee sitting by the counter. I asked him if by chance they were hiring, to which he said yes. Flash forward to 2 weekends later, I sat at the same counter and was scrolling through my phone when a mom and her 2 kids entered the store. The mother asked where the children's costumes were, and I pointed her to the far left corner. They hurried along as I waited for them to come back. After a few minutes, I remembered that I didn't tell them to not try on the costumes. For some reason, that was one rule my boss really cared for. I got out of my chair and headed towards them to let them know, and to my horror, I saw the mother lying dead on the floor as a small werewolf was feasting on her corpse. It stopped and turned to face me, growling. It lunges at me and I make a break for it. I was nearly out of the door until a witch flickered her wand and tossed me backwards towards the werewolf. The werewolf quickly sinks its teeth into my right shoulder as I let out a scream. I shove it aside and push the witch into a rack of costumes. I rush out the front doors and don't stop running till I get home. I called the cops, but they found no store in that mall. No traces that ever was one. My family insists I was just bitten by a rabid dog, and the shock made me think like this. But I know what happened was real, not because of the bite mark on my shoulder, but because today while walking down my usual block, I saw another Halloween Hut store appear next to the old movie theater. A dad and her young daughter walked out. The daughter was holding a spider costume in her hand. I hope the dad isn't afraid of giant spiders. Nicely spooky for the season. Thank you. Oh my gosh, that is scary. That is very scary. Costumes, you put them on, then you become that? Like, wow. This one's called The True Camping Story. My best friend, male 26, and I, male 28, have always wanted to go camping during a snowstorm, or at least during the winter. Why? It gets really cold. We both spoke to our spouses and scheduled a weekend trip. We are both so excited to get away in the woods without our kids and wives, just the 2 of us like when we were in high school. I packed up my small tent, sleeping bag, flashlight, and some food and threw them in my SUV. When I got to his house, I realized I was underpacked. I mean, it's supposed to snow like 4 or 6 inches, not much, but for my first time winter camping, no big deal. He had a bigger tent with separate rooms. I'll bunk with him. When we got to our spot, it was perfect. Dead end, conservation, road, and no other campers. We set up a fire and started fishing. Before we knew it, the sun went down. It was pitch black, and you could only see by the fire. By about 10 p.m., we were starting to wind down, and we were drinking a few beers, and I was shining my flashlight around in the trees, and that's when I saw the first thing that made me a little nervous. I saw a glow with eyes in the ground. Not in the trees, but on the ground, about 50 feet away across the gravel road. I mentioned it to him, and we chalked it up to maybe a raccoon or possum, something like that. He brushed it off and went to the tent to turn in for the night. About an hour later, we were almost asleep, and we heard something big in the tree, lying right by our tent. Mind you, we are both hunters. We know what a deer or coyote sounds like. And this was big. We heard it crushing leaves faster and faster until it went quiet. My best friend decided he had to pee, so he went out of the tent first, and then I followed for what you could call backup. Not that I was much to help, we only had one gun. When he got there, we went to the closest tree, did his business, and was watching our back. About 5 seconds after, he zipped up and we heard leaves crushing again, and we got so quiet I could hear my heart beating in my ears. Then the loudest sound I've ever heard my whole life was a mixture of gravel popping, and the only way I can explain it was a foreign sound. The Amish were hunting, I swear to you. A whole Amish horse. A buggy came out of the woods behind us where we heard the leaves crunching, and it made the loudest sound in the quiet little cul-de-sac style gravel area. We both jumped when we heard it and thought we were getting chased or something. That's not where the night ends though. After being scared awake by the Amish, we tried to calm down and go back to the tent. When we lay down, he is in his room of the tent and I'm with mine. And with the door open because it's about 15 degrees and the snow is starting to blow in later than expected. By now it's pitch black. The fire went out. The Amish went home and we only have out gas heater going, making a little sound. I hear him starting to breathe heavier, letting me know he is asleep. Then I hear more leaves crunching next to our tent. I mean right by his window, and the gate at which the steps were sounded like a human walking and not a deer, possum, rabbit, or anything I could think of. I look over and I see my friend's eyes wide open, and then he cuts a look at me and just screams, "Did you hear that?" And then I give him a nod saying, "Yep, I heard that." The footsteps were walking around the tent, and whatever was walking outside brushed up against the tent, making that shh sound against the nylon thin tent. That one act made me go from feeling safe in that tent to making me realize just how fragile and easily someone can cut through it. We once again sat there, stunned, silent, with shaking breath and heartbeats in our ears, trying not to make a sound. We sat there for what seemed like an hour or two, as the thing circled our tent. We heard as it walked on the gravel, because even though it made loud crunchy noises of gravel under its feet with every step it took, finally it went away and we could breathe a sigh of relief. When we got up the next morning, it was cloudy and still lightly snowing, but there was the forecast 6 inches of snow and not a single footprint we could see. We packed up the tent and supplies and tore our butts home. Okay, first of all, you shouldn't go when it's snowing because that's just way too cold to be camping in my opinion. Also, no footprints whatsoever. Either it was haunted and they were ghosts and that's why there's no footprints, or the snow, there were footprints but the snow, covered up that. Don't press play. Max adjusted his trip as he prepared to record. Jackie, read over her lines one more time. You're a good writer, you know that? Max turned a little red as he set the camera on the tripod. You really think so? Yeah, seems awfully similar to a little love letter I got a few weeks back, Jackie teased. Oh, well, lots of good writers in our class. Jackie snickered. Yeah, lots of good writers in our PE class. Max turns the camera towards her. Yep, we should probably get started. Jackie sets the screenplay down. 3, 2, 1. Max swirls his finger indicating that the camera is rolling. Jackie plants her hands on her chest. My dearest Max, your eyes shine like two suns over a dark ocean of floating rocks. Max hits stop and then looks at her. What? Your line was I left my paper in my dad's house, Mr. Ian. I know. Wonderful, am I? Let me see. She ignores his comment and walks up to him. She purposely rubs her shoulder against his as she stares at him in the eyes and back to the camera. A nervous Max hits play as the two watch closely. Playback. My dearest Max, who is that? Jackie points at the deformed woman standing behind her in the video. She wasn't there when we... Max hits stop and reminds the video. He hits play again. My dearest Max, someone appears again, by this time standing beside Jackie. The woman caresses Jackie's hair in the playback. Jackie freaks out as quickly turns around and finds nobody behind her. I can feel it, Max. I can feel her hand on my hair. Max, in a state of panic, proceeds to hit stop, but before he can, the deformed woman in the video pulls out Jackie's hair as her entire scalp comes slinging off with it. Jackie's scream from behind causes Max to accidentally push the camera to the ground. He quickly turns back to face Jackie. The entire top of her head floods her face in blood as Jackie continues to yell in agony. Okay, well, that's scary. That's really, really scary. I can't. It's really scary. I don't know what I would do if that ever happened to me, because that is really scary. Well guys, that is all I have for you for Reddit today. I really hope you guys like my costume, and I hope you love the Reddits that I read for you today. If you guys have any scary stories that you want me to tell, please comment them down below. Please tell me if I should wear this costume for Halloween, because I can't make up my mind. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching my video. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next one.